Leviatan have gotten a ton of criticism, and it's been warranted in my opinion. This team was supposed to be a super team, and they have definitely not achieved that. They've had a ton of roster changes, coaching changes, IGL changes, every single thing that's changed except for the logo, and that might be next. However, they've shown some promise here. It looked like it was going to be a very quick Crew 2-0, to be honest with you. Their bind disappointed, and on Haven, Crew got out to a quick lead. However, Lev were able to come back, showing some resilience that, to be honest, I haven't seen from any other iteration of this Leviatan roster. But how good are they actually? Did they just farm Crew, or does this team have a serious, if small, chance at competing at Champs today? We are going to find out. Sorry for not uploading for a week. Make sure to subscribe if you like my content, and let's get into it. Now, Crew are already down 4-1 here, and especially with this Leviatan comp, and don't worry, we're going to talk about it a bit, you really don't want to let them snowball. Tex, he's a very underrated opper. With this chamber, he's going to be able to use the op a lot if they're up in rounds. It just continues to go downhill from there. But don't worry, Crew have a plan. They have this Yoru ult, TPing up mid, and they're going to try and do a little A crunch here. They're going to also play off the Silva ult, the two highest impact ults in the composition. You absolutely need to win this round, especially if you use both like they do here. Now, at first, it goes fine. Kesnet gets the first blood, fires the gun probably a little longer than necessary, but everything is okay. 4v5 situation, you're good. Now, the first mistake comes right here. As you'll see, Kesnet is unable to trade Dantes, and it goes back to a 4v4, which leads to the Vice ult getting popped. Now, here is a series of mistakes, in my opinion. So, Kesnet right here, there's no reason to shoot this shorty shot. It does like 10 damage. You could have just patted him on the head for that, and it reveals your position. Now, it does end up going 1-for-1, but the real issue comes after. See, I've talked about this ult right here from Mazzino. This Silva ult is what your entire post-plant game plan is built around, popping this and using it to stall. But as soon as this kill happens right here, Mazzino tries to pop it to kill Sato to try and even out the numbers instead of using it for stall. That leads to then King right here gets the kill on Melzer, and boom, you're in a 2v2 situation where Mazzino's main, well, suddenly, boom, Sato just pushes, kills Shy, Mazzino's main, 1v2 situation, Tex gets the kill. I really don't understand why the ult was popped. I mean, I do understand their thought process behind it. I just don't think it was optimal, leads to them losing the round, and it continues to snowball from there. But let's talk about the comp a little bit. Lev are playing a comp. I first remember it being used by G2 earlier in this year with the Chamber and the Vice, but obviously we need to talk about Dantes here, who literally just runs in and gets 2 kills. But what I really want to point out is what you can do individually on Leviatan. There isn't a player except for, you know, maybe one who you would say is a weak individual fragger in their role. And that's been a huge issue with Lev this year, is getting people in comfortable roles. IGLs on the IGLing role, smokes players on the smoke role, duelists on agents they're comfortable playing. Once you're able to do that, this team actually has serious firepower, especially with the new additions. Tex and King are both very solid. And with this chamber comp, Tex is able to play to his strengths. A very good opper who's able to hold a lot of map control. Now, one thing I would have changed about this setup is probably put this trip mid. Just a small little change, but again, that comes with the chamber buffs. There was the buff where the trip now has infinite range. It wasn't in the patch notes, but yeah, it does. And while I do think it matters a little more for ranked, it definitely still helps in VCT when you're able to now do stuff like that with the chamber trip. So it's going to be really, really impactful, I think, once you're able to. And I think Desmos has done a great job of this. He's Lev's new head coach. Their previous head coach is now with a tier 2 organization. I think he's done a great job of making sure people are comfortable to where even in a 5v3 scenario, right? King able to use the Vice wall to isolate the 1v1, get it to a 3v3, and the rest of the team able to do the rest. But let's take a look at some of the rounds that didn't go that well. Crew called a timeout before this, and the game plan at first is pretty simple, and it's pretty standard for what you should be doing on Yoru on attack if you're playing a Vice, which is just clone. You know where the wall is going to be, put the clone there, go ahead and starve the information a little bit. For Lev, that's one less piece of info and stall if you choose to re-hit the site that Lev are going to have online. Now, obviously, Tex has a bit of an opportunity here that he ends up whiffing on. You know, you can't always hit those. It'd be nice if you could, but he doesn't. But what I really want to talk about is hero plays and how they can affect teams. There are some teams that rely too much on hero plays. That's just one individual bailing out the team for a round. Do not get me wrong. It is good to have teams that are capable of hero plays, but when most of your rounds are just 1 or 2 players going insane, it becomes an issue. Sato got a little schizo there, however, it is all good here. He's able to get this kill, and I do want to point out, great awareness right here to ult away from the Omen so that you don't end up giving a chance for crew to even out the numbers. But remember why I talked about hero plays? Well, it's going to be right here, which is how Lev end up losing the round. It's played tactically pretty well. Always remember to buy your shorty if you have the money. They are truly, truly a very, very good investment for you. But how do crew win this round? A hero play here. And don't get me wrong, it's a good hero play, but you can't consistently be able to make this play. I don't think that anyone's going to say, yes, consistently, I think Kesnet can clutch the 1v3 here, because you can't. However, it does give crew a round and give them an opening, and we'll see next round that they're able to take advantage of it. And yet again, it comes from a really early fight over on B. Lev elect into this. I'm not sure why. I get if you want to kind of get a Yoru holding this space, but a Yoru and a Vice, a really aggressive push-up, I'm not sure why you go and do that. It does end up losing them the round, but really quickly, I want to talk about Sato. A bunch of people have been asking my opinion on, him over Demon 1, whatever, trying to dunk on me when he performs well, trying to come to me and be like, yeah, see, Demon 1's better when he doesn't perform. So I'll say this. If you don't know, Leviatan no longer have the same head coach they had when Demon 1 was on the team. They've promoted their assistant coach, Desmos, to be their head coach now. He was the assistant coach when Demon 1 was on the team. Desmos runs a ton of Yoru, and as you can see from these comps, he's, putting Sato on Yoru a lot. That means that Sato is a lot better of a Yoru than Demon 1. I don't think anyone, myself included, is going to argue that point. So, Sato is absolutely a better fit for the system that Lev are running now than Demon 1 was. I don't think Demon 1 was the main problem. I have a 20-something minute video about how I don't think Demon 1 was the main problem. However, Sato is absolutely an upgrade for what Lev need in this system right now. And it doesn't make sense to try and dunk on him because at the end of the day, that won't make Demon 1 come back. He's a very talented player. He's fun to watch. So let's just support him. What's done is done. Anyways, that was over. I just hate seeing players get unnecessary hate because of who they're replacing. Let's look at some new rounds. Now, Lev need to shut this down before crew start getting any serious momentum and starting a comeback. So crew here, honestly, feel very content with doing these kind of quicker rounds. You've seen that it's helped them out in that last round here. So they throw a quick fake over towards B that fools literally no one. In fact, has the opposite effect. As you'll see, Lev start rotating over to A, even though Calm does end up going back to B to kind of reinforce that right there. But once Tex misses this shot, Oki is able to kind of fill in there. And even though he does instantly get traded out, that first blood is going to be pretty huge here. And I just want to say, I think Calm genuinely averages probably like 1.1 kills with his ult or something. As you'll see, he gets 2. I cannot remember a time where I've seen a Calm ult not at least get 1. It is actually insane value to have, but he wins this round not with that play, but actually with another. You'll see here, Tex, the door gets closed, they go on site, there's a little like smoke interaction here, but I want to talk about Calm here. He gets a lot of flack because he isn't an IGL, although he does help with a lot of mid-rounding, and he doesn't frag very well, just to be brutally honest with you. But this right here is championship plays. These are plays that win you games. Being selfless and saying, look, I know I'm the weakest fragger here. We don't have any utility to really help us out. So I'm going to let myself get shamelessly baited. I'm going to be jumping around. I'm going to do all of this so that I can draw the crosshair. You guys can kill Dante here and we can go ahead and win this round. Not playing for stats, just playing for the win. And again, that's not going to show up. Like I said, you're not playing for stats. That doesn't show up on the VLR, right? It doesn't show up in the era FPS screenshot after the game. But those are the things that actually can matter a lot more than, getting that one useless kill at the end of the round or something. It really does make a huge difference. Now, as long as Leviatan win the pistol, they should be able to win the game, but I do want to talk about a small little thing that you have with the double sentinel comp here. Tex is able to buy 4 bullets and light shields instead of the kind of standard 2-bullet light shield and trip buy on the chamber because King is the one that can watch flank here. You've seen, if you watch EMEA or just Fnatic, where on attack, you'll have the trip used almost as information, like an initiator type of thing, because when you have the wall to watch flank, the trip can be placed to clear corners and do stuff like that. It's really interesting. Again, I think I've said this, I don't know if it'll make it in the video, but I think I have said this when I recorded, which is that the chamber buffs, while they aren't huge, they are going to be able to make it very interesting to see what all you are going to feel comfortable doing on the chamber, whether that be solo or doubled up like you have it here on Leviatan. You'll see here, by the way, as they go towards B, this shock dart does so much damage. Obviously, Sato's just the truth. He ends up getting, I think, 3 this pistol, but if crew were a little more disciplined here, I think that you're able to probably win this round off that shock dart damage. It doesn't happen, unfortunately, for them, and Lev do go on to just kind of stomp, honestly. Sato hits him with a bit of a fake clone tech here, as you'll see, which does not work out, but you know what? He tried his best. That's what matters. But yeah, if you liked the video, I hope you did. If you're still around, make sure to subscribe, comment, tell me I'm handsome, let me know what video you'd like for me to do tomorrow, and I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.